taking that next step of talking to somebody, whether it be, a mental health professional, sharing it with a friend, getting it outside of yourself, and then acknowledging that you're not alone.
You're watching the Spotlight Network, starring Hollywood's newsman, Logan Crawford.
They now believe a single member.
He works with TV and film legends. And now, Logan's shining the spotlight on the world's top emerging authors and creators.
International were abducted.
This is Spotlight with Logan Crawford, streaming on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire TV.
I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, we're sharing a deeply moving and empowering story of survival, healing, and hope. We're talking with a terrific author. The author's name, Michaia Walker. And Michaia has penned a powerful book. It is called A Narrative Rewritten. Through poetry, reflections, and intimate letters, Michaia gives voice to the pain of abuse while illuminating the journey toward self-discovery and restoration. This book is not just a collection of words, it's a lifeline for survivors and a testament to the strength of reclaiming one's truth and rewriting one's story. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight. We thank the team at Bookside Press for helping us put this author on TV today. And we ask viewers like you to support authors like Michaia by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing Michaia's amazing book. The links are below this interview. Michaia, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Hi, Logan. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Such a pleasure to have you on the show. This is a great book. It's divided basically into 3 sections: hurting, healing, and hope. Tell us a little bit about the structure of the book.
Okay. So when I was creating this book, it wasn't necessarily supposed to be a book. It was just kind of following some prompts from a writing boot camp that I was in. Um, but as I started to write them and piece them together, I started to notice there was a theme between some of them. And so just tracking that theme of hurt, healing, and hope, organized it that way, it made a lot of sense to go through the narrative in that way.
Absolutely. And I think that brings promise at the end of your book and such an enlightening and empowering message. I think it's great. Now, this book is a collection of poems, reflections, letters, and even blog posts. Talk to us about bringing all of those different types of literary forms together into a book.
Sure. So I'm the kind of, and like this gets into my neurodivergence a little bit. I spoke, or it's in the back of the book, about my different types of identities, neurodivergent, the fact that I'm non-binary, I go by they, them pronouns, not she, her. But with my neurodivergent brain, sometimes I think about things in words, sometimes I think about things in pictures. And so the combination of things helped me to like really express things from my perspective as somebody who has a very imaginative brain, but then sometimes things make a lot more sense in words. So I did a combination of like, this is what happens in my brain to make things come out clearly.
And I think it's very, very effective, for sure. You delve into some very personal stuff, painful stuff, trauma, abuse, incest. What was it like bearing your soul and putting this onto a blank page and writing about it?
Ironically, it was kind of easy initially when I did this because I initially published this book 10 years ago.
Mhm.
And when I did it under a pseudonym, not my own name. So I wasn't worried about anybody connecting the book to me or figuring out what I was writing about, being able to identify anyone in my life. So initially, it was actually very easy to do that. And then when I was revisiting it now, 10 years later, wanting to put it under my own name, wanting to make it about the genuine me, that was a little bit harder because I feel like, there is that vulnerability piece of like people can put a face to a name and some people know me. So that was a little bit harder, was like actually reclaiming the narrative. But initially just writing it was pretty easy because I was like, well, just pretend like it's somebody else. It's fine.
Yeah. I think breaking the aura of shame is important because, when you are victimized as a child or even as an adult, you're just that, a victim. You shouldn't bear any responsibility, blame, or shame for what's been perpetrated on you, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, honestly, some people will prefer the term survivor over victim because it's like, yes, this thing happened, but it's not the thing that defines you.
Right.
So something that I was saying the other day to somebody is that what happened to you is not the most interesting thing about you. And that was really something that was helpful for me when I was collecting all of the things for this book is like, yes, these things happened to me, but I'm super interesting outside of that.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. That's not you. That's a small part of you, a part of you that you've put in the past to the best of your ability. And we're all wearing not just one or two hats, but thousands of hats. And we
Mm.
have thousands of faces that we show different people at different times, I think. What's your best advice for somebody who is going through what you went through and wants to begin their journey of healing? Tell them how you would hope they would use your book, and how you would hope they would begin that process.
This is a really great question because I feel like I've had a lot of recent experience seeing how the book can impact people from my own personal circle. So, what I would want someone to get out of it is what I've been seeing from people, getting language, being able to feel like, oh, I can talk about this with somebody now. Like I have the language to express what happened to me, what was inside of me. And then taking that next step of talking to somebody, whether it be, a mental health professional, sharing it with a friend, getting it outside of yourself, and then acknowledging that you're not alone. There's community, there's a lot of people out there that are honestly, unfortunately, just like you. And once you start talking about it, you start to create that community for yourself because you're putting yourself out there. But I've seen that pop up in my personal circle for a couple of people. Some people being like, now I have the language to talk to my therapist about this. Some people like, I was reading your book and I had to stop so I could process on my own. And the most beautiful response that I've had so far is one of my dear friends was like, oh, I would like to write about my own experience and produce a beautiful poem.
Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing. It's amazing when you find those commonalities with people that you never expected,
Yeah,
and that it opens up a dialogue. I think that's really, really important. And I think if you know somebody who's hurting, giving this book as a gift would be wonderful. I think if you feel like you've never been traumatized by an adult or a stranger or whoever in your life, I think you can learn to be more empathetic by reading your book as well. Talk to us about the poetry you wrote and the journaling that you did at the time and how it helped you process what you were going through.
sure. So there are some there are some poems in the book that initially when I was writing them, it was just words that had been repeating in my head over and over again, and I wasn't really sure where it was going. But there's a poem actually in the book that I feel like really encapsulates all of what the writing part had done for me. And ironically, it has the same title as the book, A Narrative Rewritten. Okay, if I share it.
Or absolutely love to hear it.
Okay. It's very, very short. Um, I wrote, angry, damaged, alone. You replied, raw, honest, real. I saw, beauty redefined, vulnerable. It was a narrative rewritten. And that's kind of the whole purpose or the whole process it was for me. I was really angry. I was really upset that I had a lot of feelings. I didn't
Yeah,
necessarily know what they meant, where they were coming from,
yeah,
but I needed to get them out. And then I saw people's responses to things were like, oh, they weren't really as a standoffish as I thought they were going to be.
yeah.
And that helped me be like, oh, okay, that's where I got the whole what happened to me is not the most interesting thing about me. Because just because people found out this about me doesn't mean that that's all they want to talk about.
Absolutely, absolutely. Do you feel in many ways we all have to rewrite our stories, rewrite the scripts that were scripted for us growing up? I mean, we might have been told we're stupid or ugly or dumb or physically abused or sexually abused. I think we all have to do some tweaking to the scripts and the narratives that through our brains. Do you agree?
Yeah, I think the way that I would frame that is sort of like reclaiming. So the
Mhm.
narrative that you were born into or that you stepped into in life obviously was not your choice. You didn't get to decide the things that happened to you or who you were born to, like your family, your nuclear family, et cetera, and so forth. but getting to a point where you feel like this is my life. I can claim this life as my own. This is what I want to do with it. So yeah, it's rewriting your narrative, but I also want to include like reclaiming because it's taking back control of this is my story, which is where the republishing came from. Like 10 years later, I'm reclaiming my own story. It was already written down, but now I'm just putting my name on it.
Yeah. Well, I think that's wonderful. I think it's great when you are well versed in the lexicon of empowering words. I mean, it's so much better to reclaim your story than to rewrite your story. It's so much better to be a survivor than it is to be a victim. I'm an old school guy here, so I'm learning as we go along. But I do find that language is so empowering or disempowering, and it's so vital to the construction of the individual. Talk to us about what role, if any, faith or spirituality play in your recovery and your writing.
Ooh, that's a good question. Spirituality has been very, very important. I was raised in a very like strict fundamentalist Christian religious home. That's not something I practice now, but I feel like it's important to have, at least for me, a belief in something that's bigger than myself and a connection between myself and other people. And so that's what I consider to be part of my spirituality is the fact that we're all human and even beyond human, just like being animals or in nature, whatever, we're all connected in some way. There is that cycle. It, not to be cliche, but there is that cycle of life.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the spirituality that reminds me, again, that's part of the community building, right? Like I'm not the only one that had this experience. So why not write this down and share it with other people who are also in community and have experienced this? Because I know what that feels like. I've been there too. Um, so spirituality plays a pretty big role in like the what I write, why I write it, and why I share it the way I share it.
Wonderful, wonderful. Now, your work, in addition to writing, is helping people. That's what you do as a profession. You're a licensed clinical social worker. Talk to us about how your professional experience has shaped your perspective on healing.
Another great question.
Thank you.
So so I think that's a big piece of why the language is so important, like survivor versus victim, reclaiming versus, rewriting. I think that's a big piece of why that, because I do spend a lot of time encouraging people to rewire the way they think about things, rewire the way that they have experienced things for themselves in order for their nervous systems to be able to respond to it differently. Um, so I feel like it's been a learning process along the way. The more I meet survivors, the more I hear their stories, the more things that resonate with me personally, but then also resonate with me clinically. And I'm able to translate that between clients, my lived experience, my writing, all of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you feel that the trauma you suffered in your life has made you a more empathetic person?
Yeah. I mean, in some ways, and it's very ironic, but somebody said this to me the other day that um my life experiences made me sort of the perfect person to be able to both write a book like this and also do the work that I do as a clinician because I've had these experiences and therefore I can really go into the empathy part of things.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. There's something powerful when you can actually relate to what the people are saying to you as opposed to just observing what they're saying to you.
Yeah.
When somebody's done with your book and closes that last page, what do you hope they take away with them?
What I hope they take away with them is that whole last section about hope. Just knowing that you can be looking forward to something in the future. It's okay to look beyond what's happening with you right now because you never know. When I wrote that section 10 years ago, I didn't really have any hope. I wrote that out of like complete creativity and imagination. I didn't actually think any of that was going to be real. And what I really love about this version of the book is my dear friend Peter was able to do the artwork. I think really seals like what the goal of each section is. And so with the hope section, it's two people that are together as like a support for each other, which is not the theme through the rest of the book. So part of what I was hoping people would get away from that is hope of like, you're not alone. What you need for yourself, what you want for yourself, you can hope for those things and you can achieve those things and it's okay.
Yeah. Absolutely. The name of the book, A Narrative Rewritten. Michaia transforms pain into purpose, showing that even the darkest experience can lead to light and renewal. Michaia, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thank you, Logan. I'm really glad I was here today.
I appreciate your time, your insight, and your candor in discussing this important topic. To the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time.